Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Olajide Bello. First, the headlines. Federal government met with academic staff union of universities on Monday to iron out issues of interest to parties. Nasarawa State Police Command arrests a woman with anti-aircraft ammunition just as 24 kidnapped medical students rescued. Libyan armed groups and authorities reach an accord to secure important infrastructure. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and First Lady Olena Zelensky lay flowers at the Wall of Heroes Memorial in Kyiv to commemorate Ukraine's 33rd Independence Day. Comfort Fashion to us more.
Kyiv celebrates independence from the Soviet Union as a long war with Russia has reached a dramatic moment. A somber atmosphere pervaded the country's 33rd Independence Day on Saturday, as the nation's war against Russia's aggression reaches a 30th milestone. There were no fireworks, parades or concerts planned, and instead Ukrainians marked the day with commemorations for civilians and soldiers killed in the war. Ukrainians also flooded the social media with messages of gratitude and support, greeting each other and thanking the soldiers on the front lines. In the outpouring of unity, there is a shared acknowledgement that the 2.5 years have been tough and fatigue increasingly setting in. President Zelensky, in his address to the nation, said the independence is a silence they experience when they lose their people. He further expatiated that independence descend into the shelter during an air raid, only to endure and rise again and again. The president symbolically chose to record his address in the northeastern town of Sumy, just a few kilometers from the Russian border. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer issued his own message of support ahead of an Independence Day ceremony hosted by British Ukrainian Aid in Holland Park, West London.
To the people of Ukraine, from the people of Britain, we send you our warmest wishes as you mark your Independence Day. I want you to know that we stand with you for as long as it takes, with whatever it takes, until victory.
Meanwhile, the warring countries announced on Saturday the exchange of 115 prisoners of war each, just over 2 weeks after Kyiv launched a surprise incursion into Russia's Kursk region. Ukraine's Supreme Soviet agreed the state should leave the based Soviet Union on August 24, 1991. Comforts, Fashion, NTA News.
Libyan armed groups and authorities have reached an accord in Tripoli to secure important infrastructure. The country's interior minister announced this following concerns from the United Nations over recent fighting and a brewing crisis around the country's central bank. Comfort Fashion has details.
The North African country of 6.8 million has struggled to recover from years of conflict after the 2011 NATO-backed uprising that overthrew longtime leader Muammar Gaddafi. It remains divided between a UN-recognized government in the capital Tripoli, led by Prime Minister Abdelhamid Dbeibah, and a rival administration in the east, backed by military strongman Khalifa Haftar. The country's interior minister, Trabelsi, said that in coordination with the Ministry of Defense, they have brought together all the security services of Tripoli and managed to reach an agreement to secure the airports and land borders, as well as the headquarters of government institutions in the capital. He added that the armed groups and security services expressed their immediate willingness. He says within 24 hours, they will secure all government buildings, including that of the Central Bank of Libya. The bank's governor since 2012, Sadiq Al-Kabir, has faced criticism from figures close to Prime Minister Dbeibah over the management of Libya's oil resources and the state budget. On Tuesday, the acting head of the UN's political mission in the country, Stefani Kuri, told the UN Security Council that in past 2 months, the situation in Libya has deteriorated quite rapidly, citing recent fighting between groups on the outskirts of Tripoli, an attempt to forcibly expel Kabir. The UN mission on Thursday called on parties to exercise restraint, expressing grave concerns about reports of mobilization of forces in Tripoli, including threats to use force to resolve the crisis surrounding the Central Bank of Libya. The U.S. Embassy also expressed concern over tensions around the bank on Thursday night, saying any attempt to resolve matters by force would impact the institution's integrity and its position in the global financial system. Comforts, Fashion, NTA News.
A manhunt is underway after 3 people were killed and 8 others injured in a knife attack in the western German city, police say. The attack happened during a festival in the city center on Friday evening. 5 of those injured are in critical condition, according to German media reports. On Saturday, police said they are still looking for the attacker, with national security forces deployed to the scene. They gave no detail of a motive. The man reportedly stabbed passers-by at random when the industrial city was celebrating 655 years since it was founded. Nearly 300,000 Bangladeshis are taking refuge in emergency shelters after floodings wreaked havoc in Bangladesh as the country recovers from weeks of political upheaval. The death toll is almost as high now, and millions more caught in the disaster. Comfort Fashion reports.
As affirmed by the Ministry of Disaster Management and Relief, more than 4 million people have been affected by the flood triggered by torrential rains, with hundreds of homes underwater. The flood swamped swaths of low-lying Bangladesh, and rescuers are scrambling to evacuate flooded community. The ministry said nearly 190,000 people were taken to emergency relief shelters, and 11 of the country's 64 districts were affected by the flooding. Feni, about 100 kilometers northwest of the main port city of Chittagong, was worst hit. The military has been deployed to assist in relief efforts, including food distribution and rescue operations in different areas, including Komila, Feni, and Kagrachari districts. Communication with all 6 upazila of Feni was disconnected morning of 24th August 2024. The South Asian nation of 170 million people, crisscrossed by hundreds of rivers, has seen frequent floods in recent decades. It is among the countries most vulnerable to disaster and climate change, according to the Global Climate Risk Index. The flooding also comes just weeks after a student-led revolution toppled Bangladesh's government. The country was recovering from weeks of civil unrest that culminated in the August 5th toppling of autocratic ex-leader Sheikh Hasina. Comfort, Hashim, NTA News.
Independent White House candidate Robert Kennedy Jr. has joined the Republican nominee Donald Trump on stage at a rally in Arizona after dropping out of the race and endorsing the former U.S. president. Kennedy, 70, a Democrat for most of his life and the scion of the Kennedy dynasty, said the principles that had led him to leave the party had now compelled him to throw his support to President Trump. He said in a press conference in Phoenix, Arizona, that he would seek to remove his name from the ballot in 10 battleground states. Before welcoming RFK Jr. to the stage on Friday, Trump promised, if elected, to release all remaining documents relating to the 1963 assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Democratic rival Kamala Harris said she would try to earn the support of Kennedy voters. With November's election looming, Mr. Kennedy polling has slumped from a high of double figures. Funds and national coverage dried up. An explosion outside a synagogue in southern France wounded a police officer early Saturday in what authorities say has been treated as potential terror attack. Comfort Fashion reports.
Security around Jewish site was tightened following the Saturday blast outside the Beth Yaakov synagogue in the seaside resort of La Grande Motte near the city of Montpellier. A fire was also started at the entrance of the synagogue but was quickly put out, with 2 doors damaged. President Emmanuel Macron called the incident an act of terror and said on X that the fight against anti-Semitism is a daily fight. Police said 2 cars outside the synagogue busted into flames after a gas canister exploded inside one of the vehicles. The blast wounded a police officer, but no other details were provided. La Grande Motte Mayor Stéphane Roussillon said CCTV had picked up images of an individual setting fire to the cars. One of the images appeared to show an armed man, possibly with a 9mm pistol. The explosion is coming amid heightened state of alert in France and other European countries because of the war in Gaza. Comfort, Fashion, NTA News.
The European Union and the Federal Minister of Agriculture and Food Security have trained farmers in smart agriculture to improve their yield. The organizers described climate change as a major threat to food security in Africa. Farmers are encouraged to adopt early maturing seeds and to insure their farms in case of losses. It emphasized that the inconsistency of rains this year in some states will affect farmers' output due to drought and floods being recorded in some parts of the country, destroying farmlands, and the situation is likely to be worse.
Decline in water availability for irrigation, contraction of water bodies, making water not accessible even for animals and crop farmers. Then livestock productivity declines.
The objectives of this workshop will no doubt enhance participants' capacity to contribute effectively to the federal government's renewable agenda by ensuring food security and reducing poverty. Additionally, it will empower farmers to adopt sustainable measures to combat the effects of climate change in their various enterprises. And I want to say that it's not just only direct empowerment.
So what we hope to achieve is to be able to teach our farmers what to do, how to take out insurance, that they must encourage them to take out insurance, and how to adapt and adopt the climate change. That's what we hope to achieve, so that we can sustain agriculture in the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The government of Ghana's contributions for HIV activities for 2022 reached 41%, with 43% of total expenditure of over $126 million coming from external sources. Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission said this at a forum on the dissemination of the 2022 National AIDS Spending Assessment results.
The National AIDS Spending Assessment Report tracks HIV transactions related to public, private and foreign spending on HIV and AIDS across different sectors. This is to support implementation of the NSP 2021-2025. Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Dr. Treme Tuahine, said the 2022 report was based on the new USAID guidelines that seek to ensure accountability and transparency.
The National AIDS Spending Assessment has served as a cornerstone in our commitment to transparency, accountability, and the optimization of resources dedicated to HIV and AIDS programs. It is more than a financial evaluation. It is indeed a strategic tool that empowers us to assess the impact of our HIV interventions and helps us to identify areas for improvement and align efforts with the evolving needs of our communities.
Those stakeholders were concerned about the delays in the dissemination of the HIV assessment reports. Dr. Etiahini gave the assurance that gaps and challenges in assessing the latest reports instead of reports for previous years will be resolved.
Presently, we do not have the funding to analyze the 2023 data. We hope that will be resolved very soon. We have to be up to date with the data so that 2024 data should be analyzed and presented at least by the middle of 2025, so that we are always talking about current data and not data lagging, over years.
The UNA's team called for efficiency in spending and entreated partners to explore innovative ways of creating a sustainable domestic funding for HIV. The 2022 HIV assessment reveals that expenditure towards HIV-related activities has increased by 19% from 2021 to 2022. Social protection, development strategies, and HIV-related research, however, received relatively little attention of 0.7% and 0.3% respectively. The main beneficiary population was persons living with HIV, who received the highest funding of 54%.
You're watching the news at NTA International. We'll take a break. More reports in a moment.
Relief is coming. More wages, reduced costs. Nigeria's national minimum wage is now 70,000 naira and it will be reviewed every 3 years. The federal government will commence immediate implementation and state governments are being encouraged to follow suit. With the presidential CNG initiative, transport costs are coming down. Are you a car owner or a transporter? Visit www.pci.gov.ng. How you can benefit from switching to CNG. This is the renewed hope.
This season, enjoy all the better moments with GoTV. Your football party GoTV, they give you better deal of decoder plus GoTenna for only 19,900 naira. Make you enjoy correct football action live on Top Super Sport. GoTV, love it.
Many thanks for being there. One key area of interest for President Bola Tinubu is transforming Nigeria's education sector. This has been demonstrated with a series of reformative policies. 1 year after the pilots tasked this job, Minister of Education Professor Tahir Mamman, Minister of State Dr. Tanko Yusuf Sunono said so far the fruits are gradually ripening and being enjoyed in some areas. Zimrat Demo reports.
Upon assuming office, both ministers hit the ground running by carrying out thorough research into the needs, opportunities, challenges, and way forward for the sector. This led to the creation of DOTS policy with focus on data generation, understanding the menace of out-of-school children, teachers training, skills acquisition and development. Access to education for all, teachers' welfare, judicious use of funds and infrastructural development are issues currently being handled, as the minister highlighted the provision of 40,401 infrastructural facilities to schools at various levels and 6,510 to tertiary institutions across the country.
We also developed the National Education Policy to integrate skills acquisition and development in all courses. Guidelines have been developed for the implementation. We have actually introduced dual mode education for teachers. Now, College of Education in Nigeria can now run courses in NC and degree in teachers education at the same time. This is one of the most important transformative policies this government is delivering to this country.
Other notable achievements include the upgrade of curricula to accommodate skills and allow open distance learning options, while also working on addressing issues of internal and external security and safety issues in schools, especially bullying and violence among students.
We have considered the possibility of working with professional bodies to inspect and check facilities of schools across the country. Structures that house learners have to be safe for them.
The minister and myself believe in collegial system where each person is assigned responsibility and is given close monitoring to ensure that we achieve the mandate of Mr. President.
Going forward, the ministry intends to intensify efforts towards integrating 3.5 million Almajiri and out-of-school children into formal schools, ensure smooth take-up of various new tertiary institutions across the country, among others. In Abuja, Zenred Dingmun, NTA News.
Representatives of the federal government, led by Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, will on Monday meet with the officials of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and other relevant stakeholders to iron out issues of interest to all, particularly the strike notice by the Union Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, while briefing journalists in Abuja, says this is part of measures to prioritize the welfare of teachers and students.
Let's be clear on what ASU has done. ASU has not declared a strike. Please, let us understand the language of ASU. ASU, they are very legalistic. They follow the law to its core. What ASU has done so far is to declare a trade dispute with the government and give the government 21 days. We've been busy since we got that, submission from them, and hopefully we are positive that it will reach the stage that they will go on strike.
ASU a few days ago issued a 21-day notice of strike to the federal government over some unresolved issues. Nigeria has put in necessary legal framework in place to stop the exploitation of timber to protect its forests and wetlands. Minister of Environment, Balarabe Abbas Lawal, gave the hint when he received Forestry Association of Nigeria in Abuja. Charles Alpha reports.
Only 3.7% of forest cover, the minister said, is left in Nigeria as against the 25% required for any nation. Moved with the alarming rates of the ongoing logging and conversion of forest reserves in states for development, Balarabe Abbas expressed the fears that if no concrete measures are taken, even the few reserves left will disappear. He said government is fine-tuning plans to audit its forests to ascertain its true condition, while also putting necessary mechanisms in place to set up an environmental crime tribunal to try cases of illegal logging, poaching, as well as other environmental crimes. He tasked the Forestry Association of Nigeria to come up with plans that can help President Tinubu's greening initiatives.
We are also thinking of temporarily banning export of trees from Nigeria very soon. And that, I think, is because we are trying to see and assess ourselves. I say we must take an audit of all the trees that we have across the entire states.
The present pronouncement on the Green Project Initiative is a laudable program, and whatever the association can do for them to promote more trees to be planted in Nigeria, in the state, we need to do it.
The minister also received in audience women in energy, oil and gas who came seeking ways to collaborate in the decarbonization drive of the federal government by ending energy poverty, pollution and promoting clean cooking initiatives as it affects women. Alpha, NTA News.
The Nasarawa State Police Command has arrested a woman with anti-aircraft ammunitions. According to the command's public relations officer, DSP Rahman Nansel, operatives attached to Kefi Division acting on credible intelligence intercepted her alongside a 2-year-old child. Consequently, 124 rounds of anti-craft ammunition concealed in a gallon of palm oil, a mobile phone and the sum of 78,500 naira cash were recovered from her. Preliminary investigations revealed that the suspect received supply of the ammunition at Rafin Sanyi village in Doma local government area of the state and was on her way to Katsina State before being intercepted. In the meantime, Commissioner of Police Umar Shehu Nadada has directed that the case be transferred to the Force Intelligence Department, Force Headquarters Abuja, for further investigations. The Nigerian Force has confirmed the release of 20 medical students and others who were kidnapped barely 1 week in Otukbo, Benue State, while en route to the annual convention of the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students Association in Enugu State. The force in the case that no ransom was paid to secure their release, but they were actually rescued tactically and professionally. The force thanked the security agencies, locals and office of the National Security Advisor for their commitment and resilience in the rescue of the students. National Transition Committees set up by the Nigeria Labour Congress to midwife a new administration of Labour Party seems determined to achieve its goal as it is preparing aspirants for the next local government election in the FCT. Addressing a meeting of the FCT Elders and Stakeholders Forum, Chairman of the Transition Committee and former President of the NLC, Abdulwahid Umar, is optimistic that the only way to redeem the image of the party and regain public trust is to elect a new leadership from ward to national level of the party. While thanking the elders and stakeholders for their resilience, Umar urged the aspirants to work as a team in order to secure victory at the election.
It is only when you take Labour Party first because of its policies, ideologies and ideals that we want to change Nigeria for the better. That you are able to come together, but you have not gone into the contest, but be one another's helper. Let us look at the bigger picture. And wherever we are doing it because we want to change the system that is being very terrible to almost every Nigerian.
The inauguration of the LP National Transition Committee, NTC, under our amiable, distinguished leader, Comrade Abdulwahid Umar leadership, brings hope for restructuring and rebuilding our party on the constitutional and lawful foundation.
We are going to get everything that we needed in this Abuja. We are with the people that we know that has the party. Can do us nothing.
And that's it on the news on NTA International. Thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.